Hello everybody, welcome back to the United Stand. Erik ten Hag has given his pre-match press conference ahead of the big, huge derby tomorrow. I'm nervous, I can't lie. It's getting to that time. Every hour I'm getting very, very nervous. But I'm here with Beth. Some key points to cover throughout the show is players possibly missing. Definitely one player missing in Dalot. He touches on Weghorst, whether he's going to be available or not. And also a little bit, obviously, about how City are going to play as well. But we'll get started, Beth, on the one person that isn't going to be there, which we know 100% whether Erik ten Hag is saying so or not, is Dalot after the injury that he sustained against Charlton. He has confirmed that he will be out through that injury. What's your thoughts on that? It's obviously it's a huge shame, isn't it? But the one thing I will say is the fact that how Aaron Wan-Bissaka played in the games that he has played, it's filled me with a little bit more confidence, right?
Absolutely, and this is why you have to manage a squad for occasions like this. This is exactly why. And first of all, I've got to say, I'm very nervous as well. I'm going to struggle to sleep tonight. It's generally that I'm that nervous. Like, it's got to that point in the season where we're actually doing well, so it's such a big game. But on Dalot, like I was saying, I was just saying it before over there, actually, before we went live. Erik ten Hag has been preparing for occasions like this. The way he brought Aaron Wan-Bissaka back in, he'd clearly been coached massively. He was playing completely different to the way he's been playing before. You can definitely see adjustments in his game, the way he was playing the inverted role, the way he's also able to do the overlap and go on the outside. He's actually got a few decent crosses in as well. He's not, of course, I feel like on Dalot's level, because I think Dalot has been excellent, but he's definitely massively improved. And to be honest with you, I was having a conversation the other day. The last couple of times Dalot's played, he's only coming back from injury, so he's not going to be the Dalot before the World Cup or in the World Cup, because he was great in the World Cup as well. He hasn't been the same Dalot as before, because I think he's just getting back to full fitness. He's got injured again. I think Wan-Bissaka has played himself into some really good form. I'm not nervous for Wan-Bissaka to play tomorrow. I was saying I'd debate playing him anyway. I'd probably just go for Dalot if I had the option because of his technical ability and things he can bring to the game and how well he has played this season. But Wan-Bissaka, when he's played, has been very good. I trust him to, whoever plays on the left for City, I trust him to kind of shut them out all game. So hopefully it works out. I'm not nervous about that, but gutted for Dalot, but at the same time, Wan-Bissaka's a steady replacement at the minute.
Yes, and we do have some breaking news from Ten Hag. I know a lot of you guys were saying it in the comments as well about Donny van de Beek. Was there an update? And Ten Hag has confirmed that Donny van de Beek will be out for the rest of the season. So unfortunately, that was the last appearance we did see. I can't even remember what game it was now, but obviously it was a horrific tackle, wasn't it, that has put him out. So unfortunately, that kind of rules out. It makes the squad even thinner, which isn't great. But the quote from Ten Hag on Diogo Dalot does mention Anthony Martial as well. He does say, I think Dalot is not available, and Anthony Martial, he trained this morning, so we have to wait and see how he trains. It will be decided tomorrow morning. So even with Martial, we're cutting it thin, aren't we, in terms of the possibility of him playing. And that kind of alludes back to the Weghorst thing. You know, if Anthony Martial isn't available, and Ten Hag did also say that, we've won games without Martial before, so it shouldn't, and I know he's going to be downplaying it, but surely having Martial missing, regardless of the form he's in coming into the big game, he's an asset to have in that team. He always performs in the big games. I think he's got the best goal-scoring record against City in terms of the players that we currently have. So it would be a shame for him not to see out that game, right?
Yeah, it'd be such a shame. We've criticised Martial for not being able to finish over recent games, but as we said, his last game against Everton, his hold-up play, his interlinking play with Rashford, and the way he was making really clever runs really helped the team, and I don't think many people saw that, but he is the glue in some sort of way to that team when he's playing up front. He needs to improve his goal-scoring ability, of course, but against City, he always seems to set it alight. He always seems to get the goals. I think he's got 5 goals against City, which is the most in the squad. I was looking at Rashford's got 4. So he's got the most goals. He does seem to enjoy a game against City. I mean, even in the 6-3, he managed to get two goals out of it when he managed to come on. So he does usually score against them. So it is gutting for me. The only thing I'm thinking in the back of my head is he didn't rule him out completely. He said he trained today. He's just got to assess him again in the morning. Yep. Obviously, we know Martial's really injury prone and Ten Hag doesn't like to take risks with any player. But this is such an important game. I think Erik ten Hag might be tempted to start him, and it might be a little bit of a mind game as well. I think he might be fit and he might be maybe making Pep doubt a little bit. I'm not sure.
I'm thinking maybe it's worth not necessarily. Maybe it's worth taking the risk now that as much as whether Weghorst is going to be involved in this game or not. Is it worth taking that risk, knowing now that we do have that backup option in Weghorst? Obviously, if we didn't have Weghorst at all, or it was just Martial, then it would be a little bit more of a difficult decision to make. But I think, look, what Ten Hag is saying, he's saying Weghorst will not be available for the Manchester derby. But then again, Fabrizio was reporting that all the paperwork is done. It's basically, we just, and I think I saw a tweet from Mark actually earlier on saying that if you look on the Premier League website, he is actually registered as a player for Manchester United. So again, you're talking about mind games. I'm not sure if that's part of it. That I mean, not that we don't have to make a big thing out of this, I don't think, because in a way I don't think the signing warrants, like a big pre-match, especially in a derby day, him walking around with the shirt. I don't think that is necessary. But, when it comes to having that different option and not kind of, but then again, I look at it and Pep would know.
He wouldn't start. Weghorst won't start, even if he was available.
Yeah, but Pep surely would know if he was, Weghorst was registered or not. Like, surely he could just ring up someone at Premier League and be like, hello, boss, can you tell me if Weghorst is registered?
Well, I think it's one of them things where it's either Ten Hag is, trying to play the mind games, he's not available, he's very adamant on that fact straight away, he's not available, and maybe he is going to be there on the bench or something like that. Romano did report 4 hours ago that he was registered, or the paperwork had been signed, not registered, the paperwork had been signed, so I assume he would have been registered in time. But at the same time, I think for now we just have to take Erik Ten Hag's word for it, and if he is there, it's a bonus. But
yeah, exactly
it's one of them. I want to actually ask, though, in the chat as well, and ask you too, is if we don't have Martial or Weghorst tomorrow, which is definitely a possibility, would you be looking to play Bruno false 9 and then put Eriksen, Fred and Casemiro in the midfield, or would you actually give Garnacho that game on the left and move Rashford to striker?
At least we've got options, right? Not necessarily that they're the greatest options, but I think with the form that Rashford is in, I think it's 7 goals in 6 or 8 goals in 6 games or something like that. I think I'd actually probably play him through the middle and then use Garnacho. I just think Rashford's in that goal scoring form that will just score from kind of anywhere or have, create chances from anywhere. I don't think he's overthinking in terms of who he's playing against and what type of hold-up play he needs to do. I think he's literally just probably thinks he's invincible at the minute, in all honesty. Yeah,
John Stones also, just so people know, John Stones, Pep said, isn't ready for the derby tomorrow, so I assume he will be out.
He's been pretty good.
It is a positive because I think he's their best defender at the minute, to be honest.
Yeah. Super chat from Tumbleweed. Guy bumps his head, goes missing for weeks. I presume, is that on about Martial?
Yeah.
Is he missing?
Well, he said it was a leg injury. So.
Yeah, I think it. Is it? Did he say? Am I right in saying he said it was a persisting thing, that this leg injury? Like it's not. It's something that almost keeps irritating a little bit. I'm not sure
I think he said it previously, but I'm not sure if he said it today.
But yeah, we'll move on to obviously we touched on Weghorst, but no, the quotes here are obviously Erik Ten Hag confirms Weghorst will not be available for the derby. We touched on whether that is psychological warfare or not, but Ten Hag does also say, I think we are close, so he won't be available. But I think, regardless of whether he's available or not, what do you think this signing means for Manchester United in terms of looking at it just from this 6-month period? I know we don't have to glamorise it. He's not a Manchester United signing in that aspect, but it does give us a different option, and it gives us a little bit more depth if Martial is going to be injured.
Absolutely, I take it 100%. And I think if Ten Hag thinks he's going to impact the squad in a positive way, then I'd get behind it 100%. If someone told me Weghorst or nothing, I'd take Weghorst every day of the week right now. We're desperate in need. He offers something different. He's a proper number 9. And you said you think he'll score at least 10 goals, so I'm hoping that happens.
I'll put my neck out.
If he does that, then I'll be over the moon. So I think it's a decent loan signing, and it's nothing to write home about. I'm not going to get the banners out, Weghorst is signed for Man United. I can't believe it. But it's a great opportunity for him to play on the big stage, and we're in need of a striker. Hopefully he can deliver. He's got some great pressing stats, good energy. He's desperate to play for United. He's got the attitude, and that's its most important thing. Hopefully he can find the back of the net, and with Shaw and Eriksen's crosses coming in and Bruno's as well, hopefully that'll happen. So I'm excited to see what you can do, to be honest.
Yeah.
When you've got nothing else to be excited about in the unknown, I'm excited to see.
I think the thing for me is, as much as every single United fan always says, no stop gaps, we don't want an old striker, they always seem to be a fan favourite. You know, we had Igalo, he was a fan favourite, whatever you kind of think of him. Weghorst is already the meme of Twitter now, isn't it? The chance that we can possibly do and everything like this. So regardless of, I mean, obviously if he doesn't score this whole time, plays maybe 2 games, is only utilised 10 minutes here and there, like, you know, it was a little bit different. But I think he will play some games. I think he'll honestly look back on his time as probably a successful time, regardless of what happens, really. If he's able to help us in some capacity achieve, whether it is a trophy, whether it is top 4, whatever it is, he can look back and go, look, I helped these guys in achieving what they wanted to this season. I think that's a big positive.
At this point in the season, there's no point of being negative. Like, everyone's got to get behind the squad, get behind the players, and get behind Ten Hag, and that's exactly what all the fans should be doing right now. You can have your opinions about maybe the quality of the striker, 100%, but I mean, hopefully he's going to add to this team, and you've got to believe that Ten Hag knows what he's doing, so which he does, clearly.
That is it. There was a little bit on Casemiro that I just want to find as well that Ten Hag did say. Whereabouts is it? I can't find it. Anyway, but yeah, no, I've
got the stuff about Casemiro if you want me to read it out.
Yeah, go on, go ahead.
Okay, so Ten Hag on Casemiro, he says, this is quite obvious, the impact that he's had. I said it from the beginning, this team needed a number 6, a holding midfielder. He's so important, he's a cement behind the stones. And then he says, defensively, he knows his position, points others into position, winning balls, winning duels mainly. In possession, he can speed up the game. We are really, really happy to have him on board. So some glowing kind of comments from Erik ten Hag there about Casemiro, which he absolutely deserves. And by the way, thank God we have a manager that actually came in and identified we need a number 6.
Yes.
I mean, it's took us long enough, and Casemiro's the best you can get. So, I mean, was the wait worth it? I would say it is for the likes of Casemiro. I wish we got him earlier, but wow, he's a player.
I mean, the fact that, I mean, it's quite clear that he was going to be a good signing, and a load of people, he's 30, isn't he, right?
Yeah,
so 30. A lot of people saying, what was it, 60, 70 mil for a 30-year-old? It's another one of them, right? Mm-hmm. But honestly, he can carry on playing like that into his mid-late 30s, I'm pretty sure. I actually think he's very underrated by people who don't support Manchester United. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's going to be because, like me, I don't watch other teams play football all the time, so you don't proper appreciate the assets that they have and they show on the pitch. But for me, Casemiro has been the best defensive midfielder in the league, especially, and I think what does come into that for us is the fact that how desperately we did need that defensive midfielder, number 6. And look, a load of people wanted Frankie de Jong, right? And he wasn't going to do what Casemiro does. But again, Casemiro probably doesn't do what Frankie de Jong would do as well. So I still think there is. I tell
you what, though, Casemiro can carry the ball out of the back, and he can put a bloody good pass in. He's been unbelievable, but to the point where, I mean, I expected him to be good because I said before he signed to United, he's the best centre defensive midfielder in the world. But he's actually probably exceeded my expectations in the last few weeks. He's been that good.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible in terms of, and that's one thing I'm actually going to do after this show. I'm telling you now, I'm going to go away and I'm actually going to look at Casemiro's numbers in terms of, because it's very easy to obviously on the eye look at goals, assists, but when you're a holding midfielder and you're a 6, you need to look at, just interceptions and pass completion and pass into the final third, ball carries, all this different type of stuff. So I'm going to go away and have a proper look at what he can do.
I saw some, a stat on Twitter where, because people are doing them Arsenal, United and City combined 11s. Yeah. And we saw one where Casemiro was ranked bottom over Partey and Rodri, which was criminal. And someone replied with a stat, and it was his stats next to Partey's and Rodri's, and Casemiro's and Rodri's were obviously higher than Partey's, but Casemiro's were well up there. Yeah. So, I mean, people may not watch him all the time, but I don't think stats tell you the whole story. But if you want to look at something, his stats are very, very good this season for United in a defensive way, but also in a opposing way as well. Yeah,
one thing we obviously did touch on earlier was Donny van de Beek being out for the rest of the season. What do you think that does mean in terms of, look, I don't think personally he was going to be utilised much more for the rest of the season. Maybe you're looking at the Reading game, maybe the Forest game in the semi-final, I don't know, but he was there if we needed him, right? And now he's not, so it's another, who else can play that number 10? You're looking at Eriksen maybe, and then what? You're going down to your Iqbals maybe. I don't really know off the top of my head who can, and I mean, I'm sure other people would be capable of doing it, but nowhere near to the likes of, Bruno Fernandes. And you think Donny's a step off from that, so how do we replace? Because we're not going and buying another player in the transfer market, are we? I'm
absolutely gutted for Donny because he was doing all right that game, and he's had little snippets here and there, and I think he was going to get a lot more time actually with how many games we've got. I mean, the February schedule is absolutely mental. The schedule in general is mental, so I think he would have got more games. So I'm gutted for him. It's really not nice. It's really not. And in a season-long injury, especially if he wanted to maybe get a move because he wasn't playing much or go on loan or anything like that, it cuts all that off as well for him. So hopefully he recovers as quickly as possible. But to be honest with you, I don't think he was that important to the team, and that sounds really horrible, but he didn't really have much influence on our games. When the games I think he would have played in is, for example, when Kobe Mainoo played in the Charlton game, he probably would have played instead. In game, for example, the Reading game, he would have played potentially in one of the Europa League games because we've got the Carabao Cup final coming up. I think he has the ability to go and play. Like he can, and definitely the last 20, 30 minutes when you're resting players, he would have played them games. But to be honest with you, as long as Fred and McTominay stay fit, I think we've got enough to get us through the season. Do I think it's what United should have? Absolutely not. We should have another midfielder. We need another midfielder. We've talked about selling one of either Fred, McTominay or Donny. We need to bring someone better in to be the option. But for now, it's something we're just going to have to deal with. It'd be a much more damning situation if it was someone like Bruno Fernandes that was injured, but it doesn't take away from Donny. It's still a horrible injury, and I wish him all the best. Yeah,
don't wish that situation on anybody, but a couple of people in the chat actually saying Sancho as a backup number 10. Now look, guys, I'll be honest with you.
He's got to actually get back into the squad.
Yeah, the thing is now, and look, I don't know if Sancho's ever played as a number 10, but we need to first think about integrating him into just the matchday squad. And then obviously getting him some minutes, regardless of thinking he can just jump in as the backup number 10, right? Like let's be honest here, the performances he was putting in as a winger, regardless of what side, weren't good enough. So, he's not good enough there, let's just put him in number 10. No, that isn't how it works.
Plus, you need massive energy in that United team to play as a number 10. Even though Eriksen hasn't got the same aggression as Bruno, he does have legs that he can get about for 60 to 70 minutes then be subbed off. I don't know if Sancho could run the number 10 role in the Man United team, but I'm here to be proved wrong, but I don't think he could.
No, I personally don't. I don't think it would be fair to either. No, I don't think it would be a fair
He's such a cog in that United team. It's a really important position.
Yeah. Ten Hag, that's an interesting name, does touch on the derby from earlier on in the season as well. Obviously, we got battered in that game. I did watch it on holiday. It wasn't very fun. It ruined my holiday.
My holiday.
But he does say it was a lesson. We took the lesson, and from that point on, we have made huge progress. And I think, is it from that point on, we're literally top of or second in the league, or something like that, right?
I think, farm table.
You can see there has been huge improvement, which is the main thing. And I've always said it's about progress.
Do you know what makes me off about Ten Hag when he goes, progress clear? Clear? He loves the word clear, doesn't he?
He does also say, it has been a process in the last months where we have developed. We have to be brave, and have to believe, and have to play our game. And this is one thing that Ten Hag has always displayed, and it's this philosophy almost, isn't it? That I don't think he's necessarily going to sacrifice the way that he plays just for a one-off game. And that obviously will have its positives and negatives, right? Because long term, the players are obviously still getting used to, and will get even more used to playing how they want to play. Whether it's next season after. But then again, this is Man City we're talking about. And as much as they did lose to Southampton previously in the Cup, you just don't know what team's going to turn up. So if you were Ten Hag, I know you're saying, we have to play our game. Would you adapt it a little bit? Would you, throw Fred in there instead of Eriksen? Because personally, if he's saying we have to play our game and kind of almost, I guess, not worry about City as much. Yes, they're going to have threats, but I guess he will analyse them the same way he analyses
every other team.
Yeah, every other team, same way as he analysed Charlton in the previous game. But that to me thinks that he's going to start with, Eriksen, Bruno, Casemiro. I think Eriksen's the only one for me which you can kind of look at and go, we might need more energy in there.
First of all, I think Ten Hag will play that midfield. I think he will. Whether I would do that, he's a different man, but he's the coach of United and he's done very well so far, so you've got to trust him. In that first derby, we were a lot, I think, less confident than we are now, and we were further behind coaching-wise as well. We hadn't been coached as much as what we have been now. Ten Hag's had a lot more time to the players and proper deep dive into mentality as well. In that first City game, first of all, we didn't have Casemiro, so that's going to be so interesting to watch from the start. I think Casemiro is a massive plus in that midfield for us, a huge plus, huge. And so McTominay, Eriksen and Bruno was bound to get found out by City midfield. It was, looking back, he was a little bit suicidal, that midfield against City in a way. But Casemiro is going to make a huge difference. And also, I thought in the first derby, we looked scared, underconfident.
Yeah, we rolled over, didn't we? 100%.
And we rolled over, yeah. And even Erik ten Hag said after that game, we thank City for showing us where we're at the moment. Yeah. And the game plan went out of the window in the first 10 minutes and players lost the mentality and lost their heads. Yeah. Erik ten Hag will have absolutely drilled these players. They're very confident right now. Rashford will be going to this game thinking he can score. He's scored in like the last, is it 7 or 8 home games that he's played in? He's got a mental home record at the moment and a goal record in general. He's done well against City in the past. He'll be super confident. I think the team will just have that better mentality with the likes of Casemiro in there, an absolute leader. And Varane has been fully rested and fit. He had to come off injured in the last City game, which touch wood doesn't happen again. So we have, I think, a much better chance this time. I think we're much better prepared. Anything can still happen on the day. But what I don't expect is heads to drop. I expect that mentality to be there throughout the game. I think the players have come a long way. But, I mean, it's an exciting game. We get to see where we're really at. But the best thing for me, the most important thing we have, is we have Casemiro in that lineup tomorrow. It's going to be huge for the midfield. Absolutely huge.
I think Casemiro won't let heads drop and standards drop either. I mean, and again, touch wood, we don't go and get battered within the first 20 minutes and the game's already gone. But even if that does happen, I still do think Casemiro will want to set standards and want to lift everyone up and, prove that he can be a leader, because it's quite obvious he is.
That text message you sent, have you seen that going around on Twitter that James Ducker from the Telegraph
he said,
put out?
Let me fix this
after the 4-0
I'm not going to lie, I'm not quite sure how believable
that is. I mean, if the Telegraph are reporting it.
In all honesty, it seems like one of those moments, it's like,
people want to believe it.
Didn't really happen. Is he? He's good. He's very, very good. And yes, he has fixed a lot of things. But is he arrogant enough? Again, I don't know, to text his agent and be like, "Yeah, I can fix this." Do you know what I mean?
He has done a lot.
That's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying he has, of course. But is he arrogant enough? But Ten Hag was asked the question, wasn't he? On I think he's the fastest manager to get to 20 wins at Manchester United. And Ten Hag's response was, "It's nice. Obviously that record, but you deserve nothing for it. It is about winning trophies. We are here in a project and we want to win trophies." Now, that's the one thing that has been almost very repetitive from Ten Hag, is the fact that he almost doesn't care about anything else. Like, you can win as many games as you want, but if you're not getting a trophy at the end of it, he almost doesn't care. It is literally just, he has this obsession of winning games. And that smile that's coming on your face when I say winning trophies. I've never seen you smile like that, but yeah, obviously, it's ridiculously important. I wouldn't say necessarily this season that Manchester United win a trophy, but only going off the basis no one really predicted us to. Yeah. Obviously, it'll be a disappointment now. We're in a very good position with, obviously, the Carabao Cup. But he has a very good obsession with winning trophies, right? Yeah,
and this smile is because I'm actually excited about Manchester United. I worry, of course, for tomorrow's game, but I trust Erik ten Hag 100%, and I know he's a very good manager. And to know that you have an extremely good manager that, if he's given the tools, will take you to the top level in your team, I have to smile. I've prayed, I've waited for times like this. It's been years. You've got to get happy about it. I mean, even whatever happens tomorrow, anyone can lose to City, but as long as we go out there and show a good performance, I want to win, of course. I'll be gutted if we don't. But it's about improving the team. And like you said, the fact Erik ten Hag just says, the standard is a win. Like, winning should be standard. It's when you win a trophy, that's when you can be happy about things. I mean, it's not normal if United don't win, so that's when he has to, like, really kind of, look at why they haven't won and massively change things. I mean, you've had players come out and say that they think that the turning point of the season was after the Brentford game, because Erik ten Hag, they've never seen anyone react that way after a loss before, and the way he reacted was just, it was brilliant for the players. You've heard players say that. I think it was Melissa Reddy that came out with this. I've got the quote here, that that it was in line with a line that was repeated by several of the MUFC squad in the pre-season returned for the first time in an age. The players felt like they were being properly coached, corrected and steered at the club. We've actually got a coach in that knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so I'm so excited. I mean, the way he, as well, I talked about this before, the way he's got more confident in these press conferences. When he first started at United, it was very one-word answers and you won't really get much out of him. Now he's taking everyone on, he's talking loads. Obviously winning helps that and the praise helps, but the more he speaks, he just knows what it is to be United manager. The stuff he's been coming out with recently, he speaks so well. So I'm very, very happy with him. And it's like, even Weghorst, if we signed Weghorst under a different manager, we'd be like, everyone would be in absolute meltdown mode. But because it's Ten Hag and he's able to get a tune out of a lot of players, people are happy about it. There's just a positive energy and I'm happy about it.
If he's able to get a tune out of the likes of, you know, well, the players that a lot of people had written off, you know, and I mean this in no disrespect, right? But, you know, your Freds, McTominays, these players were getting hammered this time last year, right, for their performances. Even, I mean, look at Rashford. Rashford was dubbed as Trashford, right? A lot on Twitter. Everyone was like, we need to get rid of him, and this PSG interest came about, or slight interest. How much can we get for him? Let's get rid of him. And now, you know, you'd be gutted if you sold him for 50, 60 million, whatever it was reported. Now, you know, he's like playing as a double that £100 million player now. So it's
I can understand why people said that about Rashford at the time, because he was absolutely awful. Yeah. But just to put it out there, I never said we should sell him. I did always think there was going to be a player come out of it. Yeah. He needed a very good coach, and that's what he's got.
I think the annoying thing was that he had a really good season, didn't he, where he scored 20 plus goals, and then obviously he never got, not that you have to replicate it year on year.
Even in that season, sorry to cut you off, even in that season, he was scoring a lot of goals, but he wasn't necessarily playing well in every game. He'd be like a clutch goal, or people be like, Rashford's dropping like a 5 out of 10, but then scoring at the end of it. Yeah. Like, especially in them Ollie times, because he was suffering with injury as well, I think, with his shoulder. But now, like, throughout the whole game, he's actually playing very well. He's pressing well, he's getting back, his defensive work, his fitness work, his passing's better. So I think this is the best I've probably seen Rashford play.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Recency bias comes into that, but I do look at him and I just think, whether he is, not that he's going to come off the bench anytime soon, but regardless of what situation you put him in, I do think he has an answer for it. Off the bench, starting, he might, and he's that type of player at the minute. He might not play well for the first half an hour, but then he just comes up with something in that game that changes the tide. But a lot of people in the comments still saying that he's playing well. He's still got a long way to go, but. We can talk a little bit actually about score predictions, I think. Now we've read pretty much all the quotes in terms of the first part of the press conference. We've touched on the fact that we think Weghorst isn't available. We're unsure how to take it, whether he is fully not available or it's just mind games. The fact that Dalot is 100% not going to be there. Martial is getting analysed tomorrow morning. But score predictions, I know you're obviously one of the more confident people at the United stand. But I think when you came in...
Have to just get through it with optimism.
When you came in today, you did say, I think I heard you say something like, you're not quite sure how it's going down. And maybe that's because the closer you get, the more nervous you get in. You know, it does get to that time. But if you're going to give a final score prediction ahead of tomorrow's game, what would you pick? And you guys in the comments as well, get your score predictions in.
Well, it's funny because obviously... When we're in the studio, we talk about United all the time. We talk about football all the time. So we're always having like this banter with each other and like, you know, talking about it. When I came in today, I was like, guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very nervous for tomorrow. Yeah. I did predict a 3-2 to United, and off camera I'll be like, well, I know we're gonna lose. Just talking yourself into it because you're that nervous. But when I actually come down to it, I'm not going to predict United to get beat off City. I just can't do it to myself. Why? We can win this game. Yeah. We've got the ability to win the game. The one thing that's really kind of sticking out to me, that's worrying me a lot, is that I can't remember the last time City lost 2 in a row. And I was buzzing that they lost to Southampton because I thought, great, that gives us a great opportunity to win this cup. I think we can beat every other opposition in that cup. City, I'd be very unsure about. But I also thought they're going to come back very, very strong for the derby because Pep will have gone in. Yeah. You'll have gone in on it. But a long-winded answer, but I'm still sticking with 3-2 to United. A high score line, both teams capable of scoring, but I think we can outscore him. I do.
Yeah.
Garnacho goal.
I find it so difficult, and again, I think it's just because I'm haunted by the past of previous, obviously, derbies, and the fact that in comparison to City, we haven't even been in their shadow. It's like we're not even near them, right? Like, I find it very hard. I did say 1-1, didn't I, yesterday? Knowing now that obviously Dallow's out, Martial is, let's say, 50-50. You're almost looking at where the goals come. I'm going to stick with the 1-1. I wouldn't. I'm not the type of person that if someone would, you can pay 50 quid and they'll definitely draw 1-1. I'd be like, no, I'd rather take my chances and get that win. But I just do think, especially if Martial isn't going to be fit, you're then looking at who plays through the middle. Rashford, not his greatest position, but probably the better one to do that with Weghorst not available. Where's the goals going to come from? I know you mentioned Stones isn't available. I just think there's loads of variables going around in my head and it's just confusing me.
I do look though, and I think Rashford's I think if Rashford plays, I think he's the most likely person to score. I think if anyone scores, it's probably going to be Rashford. But if Garnacho manages to get on the pitch, if Martial is injured, which I hope he's not, because I think Martial is the better option for this game, I think Garnacho's full of confidence as well now. He's not afraid to take someone on. He's definitely got an opportunity.
It's a huge
Anthony's
game.
left foot. Remember the goal last time against City? I know we're getting beat 6-3, but we've got goal threats there. So, I'm going to look back at this video tomorrow if we end up getting hammered and I'm going to be like, Beth, you're like an idiot. But you know what? You can't put yourself out there.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm going to stick with a 1-1. I saw a comment actually just flash past saying, Charlie, loser mentality. Oh, it's not a loser mentality. I said we're going to draw.
He's just being realistic.
I'm just... Yeah.
Realistically, I probably think a draw tomorrow would be a very good result for us against a team like City. But as a very optimistic, I have to always predict a win. I'm going with a 3-2. You've almost set
the bar over the previous predictions and various things you've said, haven't you, of this optimistic results, etc. So you can't just all go, oh well, City are going to batter us 3-0.
No, it's just not in my DNA to be like that. No, I would never go into a game saying, oh, we're going to get battered 4-0 today. Even last season, last season tested me. Last season, big time tested me. That's when that second game rolled round against City and Liverpool. I was like, right, with Ralph in here, and no fault to Ralph. The team was absolutely on the floor at that point. I thought, nah, I'm not predicting a win this time. But 8 games on the bounce with a win. Rashford's on fire. The team's positive. I think if we can get a win, it's going to be now. So we'll see.
Yeah, look, we can round off the show there. Dallow isn't available. Martial is going to train and be assessed tomorrow morning.
Oh, I've got one thing I want to say as well. I texted Ricky about Martial being potentially injured, and let's just say he messaged back some words I can't say on the stream.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be gutted, won't he, if he's not available, because he literally worships the ground Martial walks on, let's say. But yeah, Martial's going to be assessed. I'm sure that's going to have to be really early, isn't it? Especially with the 12:30 kickoff. Weghorst apparently not available as well.
Sorry, can I keep cutting you off? Can I just ask you a quick question? Do you reckon if say if Rashford was late to the meeting tomorrow, do you think Ten Hag could still bench him? I don't think he will be, but it's just a.
I think you have to.
I don't think he would. Anyway.
I think you'd have to, because you set the tone, haven't you?
It's one of them.
But
anyway, it's just one of them. No one will be. Their alarms will be set extra early tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's going to wrap up the show, guys. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. First part of the press conference, really enjoyed doing it. Some unpositive, negative is actually the word I was trying to say. Negative news in the fact that Dallow isn't going to be available. I'm sure Aaron Wan-Bissaka will be able to step up. Not looking like we're going to see Weghorst until maybe the Palace game midweek, but I'm looking forward to seeing him play nonetheless. But appreciate everyone for stopping by. Hopefully we get the win tomorrow. I know a lot of you think I've got a loser's mentality, but I'm just trying to be realistic.
The thing is, if we win then, if we then go on and win, you're like, you set yourself up for it, don't you? Whereas if we even draw tomorrow, I'm going to set myself up to be disappointed. So.
Well, it depends. But yeah, appreciate everyone for stopping by. Leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.